I want you to listen to the heart of a true worshiper. You ready? I believe in the sun, even when it doesn't shine. I believe in love, even when it's never shown. I believe in God, even when he might not speak. Those words were written on a Nazi concentration camp wall during the Holocaust in World War II. Written, obviously, by a worshiper. How many of us tonight would, in the midst of the horror that took place, have a heart that says, I believe in the sun even when it doesn't shine. I believe in love even when it isn't shown. And I believe in God even when he doesn't speak. What kind of human being in the midst of the blood-soaked grounds of Dachau would be able to scratch those words on a barren wall? A true worshiper, I'll tell you. But let me tell you something else about this person that I know. Incidentally, the writer is anonymous. But this I know, and I wrote this down because I believe beyond any question what I'm about to say is who wrote these words. Only one answer of the person who wrote those words. He had eyes that chose to see the unseen because he knew that the things which are unseen are eternal, while the things which are seen are temporal. Come on, let Jesus know, brother. That's where we are tonight. That I know about that man. That I know about that woman. She wasn't, or he was not caught up in what he could see or what they were experiencing. They knew. I said they knew that something better was on its way and had the promise. Let me share this with you. Don't forget this. The presence of problems in your life does not indicate the absence of God. Did you write that down? No, too many of us think when things go bad that God's got something better on his mind. No. Again, the presence of pain is not the absence of God. But watch this. What we need to realize that between the binders of the book, there are answers to every single challenge and every single problem you may be having in your life today. Our problem is, are you ready? We have spiritual blindness because we'd rather see the things that we can see than the things that we can't see. The Bible tells me in the 11th chapter of Hebrews that Moses endured by seeing what was not seen.
Wow, that's good.
I'm going somewhere with this because this has been on my heart for so very long. I've got another hero that I want to share with you tonight. His name, Dante Watt. Dante Watt. He's a new hero. I heard about him on the news about 3 or 4 weeks ago. He's a a middle school running back in Arizona. And when I saw him interviewed, I just got excited. Everybody say, as long as I live, I'll never forget Dante. Dante that week scored 2 touchdowns from scrimmage over 40 yards. And you say, well, no big deal. Oh, I forgot to tell you, Dante is blind. Dante is blind. And the kid took a handoff from the quarterback. It's the anointing, it'll do it every time. Here's what fascinated me. Here's what fascinated me about Dante. They said, Dante, how can you run from scrimmage toward a goal line that you can't see? And here's what Dante, the wisdom of a 16-year-old, you just have to trust other things. You just have to trust other things. You just have to trust other things. You see, Helen Keller put it this way, Miss Keller, is there anything worse than being blind? She said, yes, having eyesight, but no vision. You see, Dante, bless his heart, he had vision. He had vision. And blindness was not going to keep him from reaching his vision. You know what he said when he was interviewed? I love this. This kid just grabbed my heart. What's ahead for you, Dante? Well, first of all, college. Hopefully, the NFL. He's blind. Hopefully, the NFL. Then get some rings and get a lot of money. And then the Hall of Fame. Guys, what we can learn from a 16-year-old blind boy, huh? His vision is not, let me say this. You know, the reason that many of us are blind spiritually is that we're so focused on what we see. I'll try this side over here. The reason many of us are spiritually blind is that we focus on what's seen. We have to remove what is seen so we can see the impossible. We have to move from what we see to what we can't see, because that's the only way to tap into the eternal. And what we are looking at, listen, puts demand on your flesh. But what you can't see puts demands on your faith. And we have a choice. The Apostle Paul put it this way: we can either walk by faith or by sight. I can't walk by faith if I'm focused on walking by sight. So I remove what I can see so that it doesn't put the demands on my flesh that keeps me tethered to what's temporal. Oh, I tell you, go over to 2 Corinthians chapter 4 and take a look at this. 2 Corinthians chapter 4. I know you know this, but just humor the old guy. 2 Corinthians chapter 4. The Apostle Paul says it so beautifully in 2 Corinthians chapter 4. Well, let's just pick it up in verse 16. Therefore, we do not lose heart. Even though our out man is perishing, yet the inward man is being renewed day by day. And then, for our light affliction, which is but for a moment, is working for us a far more exceeding and eternal weight of glory, while we do not look at the things which are seen. For the things which are seen are temporary, but the things which are not seen are eternal. You couldn't convince Dante that he was blind. You couldn't talk him out of making up his mind that every time he took a handoff from that quarterback, there was one place and one place only, and that was that goal line. His coach, the coach said there was something about this kid that just knew on the inside the direction he was supposed to go. Wow. Well, that wouldn't hurt a few of us in this room, would it? Now, let me show you something. And I want to take you to a portion of the Bible that Jesus read. You know, Jesus read the Bible. Not the one you have, but he read the Bible. So go to 2 Kings, and we'll take a look at an incident in the 4th chapter of 2 Kings that always blessed me. Remember this, friends. Discovery is looking at the same thing everybody else looks at, but seeing something different. For we see not with our natural eye, but again, our spiritual eye. And in this story, you get a beautiful, beautiful indication of what we're talking about. Remember now, we don't see things as they are. We see things as we are. I see things from my perspective. I don't see things as they are. That's why, again, I love Dante. Folks, I thought about this just the other day. A guy came up to me and he said, Pastor, I really do enjoy reading the Bible a lot, but sometimes it's difficult because there are just a lot of things in the Bible that I don't understand, and it makes it very difficult for me. I said, don't worry about it. Things that are difficult for me make the reading of the Bible harder, because I find it is the only book I read that reads me. And sometimes I don't like what I'm reading. Now, here's what I want to get established as we read this tonight. There are situations in our life that cause us to be spiritually blind. But we're going to look at those tonight, and we're going to get rid of those tonight before we leave here, so that we're not going to walk through life with spiritual blindness. And I mean, that's a tough way of putting it, but the fact remains that many of us are frustrated where we are because we're spiritually blind to what lies ahead and the possibilities of tomorrow. God's got a place called best, not a place called good enough, but a place called best for every single one of us. But we need to have the vision to see that place called best. How are you going to know if you got there if you haven't seen it? Right. And that's what my heart has been for all of my years, is to be able to help people get to that place called best. The Lord has opened the door for us to have an opportunity for 20-some years to speak to national marketing companies for years. We'll have We'll be in San Antonio with about 8,000 crazies in a couple of months. And what's so cool? They let me do Sunday morning church. Can you believe that? We go in a hotel ballroom, and what is so neat is most of the ones there would never set foot in the church. And I'm able to preach Jesus, no holds barred, have an altar call in a hotel ballroom, and see hundreds of people come to the altar to give their hearts to Jesus, and then send them home and get them plugged into a local church. Now that is a place called Best, brother, and it is a thrill and delight to be able to say, my heart cries to see the unchurched get into the presence of the Lord. Okay, have you found 2 Kings? Here we go. Let's begin reading quickly in verse 8. Now the king of Syria was making war against Israel. He took counsel with his servants, saying, my camp will be in such and such a place. And the man of God sent to the king of Israel, saying, beware that you do not pass this place, for the Syrians are coming down there. Watch it. And then the king of Israel sent someone to the place which the man of God had told him. And thus he warned him, and he was watchful there, not just once but twice. Therefore, the heart of the king of Syria was greatly troubled by this thing. He called his servants, and he said to them, will you not show me which of you is for the king of Israel? And one of his servants said, not my lord, O king, but Elisha, the prophet, who is in Israel. He tells the king of Israel the words that you speak in your bedroom. So he said, go, see where he is, that I may send and get him. And he was told him, saying, surely he's in Dothan. Now watch this. If I could take you back here and we could just experience this, it would be absolutely thrilling. Watch. Therefore he sent horses and chariots and a great army there. Now they're after one guy. And they're sent a great army to get Elisha, right? His servant, no, wait. And the servant of the man of God arose early. He went out, and there was an army surrounding the city with horses and chariots. And his servant said to him, listen, alas, my master, what shall we do? Now, wait a minute. Here's what I want you to see. The servant gets up in the morning. Elisha's sleeping again. The servant gets up, walks out of the tent, and he looks, and all around the city of Dothan is an army, chariots, horses, guys fit in armor, and they're there for one man. Now, listen, I underline this in my Bible because I've been there. What shall we do? The servant cries out to the boss, what shall we do? I've been there. I've cried out to my boss. What shall we do? Has anyone in this room ever been in a situation where you've just cried out, what shall I do? Has anybody been there but me? That's a hopeless, helpless feeling. What shall we do? Man, I've done everything I know to do. What shall we do? Watch this. Elisha answered and said, don't be afraid, dude. Don't be afraid. Okay, Elisha, don't be afraid. You tell me not to be afraid. We're surrounded by an army, And you tell me not to be afraid. Have you ever been afraid and gone to church and pastor gets up and tells you, don't be afraid. Watch. He said, do not fear, for those who are with us are more than those who are with them. Now, get this picture. Here's the servant. Elisha comes out, says, don't be afraid, for more with us than with them. The servant goes, huh? What do you mean there are more with us than with them? It simply means, listen to me carefully, when you feel like you're surrounded and you feel like you're going under, remember this: greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. I want you to remember there are more with you, brother, than there are with the bad guys. We're the good guys, and we've got a legion of angels stationed round about us, for the righteous are surrounded by the Lord. And all the Lord's got to do is say, go get them, and brother, the battle is over, and we win. Do you believe that? When I get this, I get chills, because I'm thinking, we got this humongous Syrian army, but God's army shows up. Listen to me. When did God's army show up? God's army never left, because God's army is always there. Listen, those who are with us are more than those who are with them. Now listen to this. I'm almost through. Elisha prayed. Now what did he say to the servant? More with us, right, than with them. But listen to this. Elisha prayed and said, Lord, I pray, open his eyes that he may see. You missed a chance to shout. Open his eyes that he might see. Wait. He already saw. No. He only saw what he saw in the natural. He didn't have eyes to see what God had already done in the supernatural. And you got to have eyes to see if you're going to be everything he intends for you to be. Are you going to walk by faith, or are you going to walk by fear? Too many of us walk by fake faith. Have you ever heard of fake news? The devil has fake faith. Fake faith is where we shout words of faith and go hide in the closet. But you see, when our eyes are open, we see the truth. And the knowledge of that truth sets us free. Watch this. The Lord opened the eyes of the young man, and he saw. I'm here tonight, and my assignment is to simply pray that each of us in this room would have our eyes opened, that we might see everything that God's got in store for us. Guys, you're nifty. You're special. You're on your way to doing something incredible. But you've got to see. You've got to see what God's got in store for you. And when you see it, you begin to move in that direction. And you know that no army from hell is going to keep you from achieving everything that the King of Glory has in store for you. My prayer, open your eyes. Now let me very quickly give you 4 things that keep you blinded. Number 1, fear. What was the first thing Elisha said to his servant? Do not fear. Do not fear. Fear comes when I get focused on the impossible moments in my life. Second thing, the second thing that we need to realize, and the second thing that makes a difference between us becoming spiritually blind and being able to see, is our past. Your past does not determine your future. What's past is past. Your past is on the backside of Calvary. And I said, your future is before you, and only you can determine its direction. Fear will keep you paralyzed in the path of frustration. But when you decide you're going to look and see what God's got for you, it's going to ignite a fire in your belly that cannot be quenched by what's going on in your life. And number 3, are you ready? Living the life of a victim. Living the life of a victim. My goodness. Guys, please hear me. I'm only victimized because I'm allowing what's happened in my past to keep me tethered there. I might have been a victim, but if I've been to the cross, I've become a victor. Get the victim mentality out of your life and begin to walk in the victor's circle. Crown yourself with the victor's crown that the Apostle Paul talks about from the Bema seat in Corinth. You're a victor. You are a victor. Turn to somebody and say, he's talking to you. Now quickly, and I'll quit with this, but I got to show you this, because here is the other thing that keeps us in spiritual blindness. And what I'm about to show you, you'll swear God just put it in the Bible just this past week. Psalm 78, look at it quickly. Psalm 78. When I first read these verses of Scripture, I honestly did think God put those in there that day just for me to read. The 78th Psalm talks about Israel coming out of Egypt, going to the promised land. But here's what I want you to see. Verse 40. Here we go. How often they provoked him in the wilderness, and they grieved God in the desert. Watch. Yes, again and again they tempted God and limited the holy God of Israel. You missed it. The only limitations that God has are those which we impose upon him. They limited God. They limited God. Too many of us in the church are limiting God because we think what's going in our life is too big for God to handle, or that God's too busy But listen to me. Listen to me. Make up your mind tonight as you leave. Never again will I question whether God can or whether God will. Never again will I limit him with my doubt, my fear, and my unbelief. I make the quality decision tonight. No more limits on you, God. Take charge and do in my life everything I need.